So we're thinking well.
Yeah, up there in the corner.
So we're like up by that rock is
Yeah.
where we're thinking?
I would
Okay.
think, yeah.
Now, have you ever drilled in before?
Drilled a lot.
You have,
yeah.
okay.
In the valley, I get 30, 40-foot wells. Up on the hills like where you are, it could be anything.
What are the chances of not hitting?
They're pretty slim. We
Okay.
usually get water, and there's things we can do if we get into a problem. We can hydrofracture, we can do a number of things.
Okay.
But that's really not normally a problem.
Okay.
The thing is that the amount of water that you get will vary, and what you get is what you get. Just that you're looking for the water in the fractures. So depending on how fractured the rock is and how much water it carries. People think that you really need a lot more water than you really do, because the average family only uses 100 gallons per day per person. So you can really take a lower flow and still have a very adequate well for normal use. Okay.
Yes,
So-
we kind of want a little bit of an idea, like the basic idea. I know that it depends on how deep you drill.
Right. Yeah, the cost is by the foot.
Okay,
Casing goes to the bedrock, into it about 10 feet, and then stops.
Okay.
Then we just drill an
So
open hole.
once you're with bedrock, you don't need to worry about it.
need
You don't
casing.
need casing once you
Right.
hit bedrock.
Right.
Okay.
So you know, there's really nothing like to say, okay, I'm going to dig here, or I'm going to go and dig with another 15 feet in the.
If we have a choice, we
Yeah.
look at things like depressions, like maybe you have a little valley that runs down through the property, which might indicate that you have some fractures underneath. Those are places that we could drill and possibly get
Right.
a better
Result.
result. You know, we can't predict what's going to happen underground, but normally it's never a problem. Once you get the water, it's there
And you
forever.
sort of
Okay.
measure it, and you're looking for a minimum gallon per hour
No,
type of thing.
as far as pressure.
When you get your. when
Yeah,
you do
see,
hit
the pressure and the water flow to your house is really a function of the pump. Well, what I'll do is when it comes time for the pump, I can talk to you about your lifestyle, you know, how many bathrooms you're going to have, that kind of thing. And then I can size the pump according to your particular use.
Right.
You know, and I'll make sure the pump is big enough for you.
Yeah,
You're not going to have
okay.
a problem.
All right.
Now-
And it can always be replaced if it needs to down the road.
Yeah, but you're not going to have to do that.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to design it right the first time. so-
Okay.
I was under the impression that there's actually air pressure, because the pump pumps it into a tank,
Yes,
compresses the air that's in the tank.
yes.
And
All
that's
that
your,
is,
that's your pressure to the house, the pressure from the air kind of pushing on the water that's in the tank, no?
well, the reason for the tank is it's an accumulator tank. And that gives you a run time on the pump. The motor manufacturers want that pump to run for at least a minute when it comes on. So say you're drawing a cup of tea water.
Right.
You shut it off. At that point, the pump comes on.
Right.
So we want that pump to run,
to
a minute
That's what the air thing is.
so
like.
it can cool down.
Right.
So
right.
you don't get into a rapid
cycle.
So people call it a storage tank, but it's not really a storage tank. It's an accumulator tank, which gives you the run time according to the size of the tank.
Okay.
And now we have even a better system today, which is the constant pressure system. The constant pressure system will maintain your pressure within 5 pounds instead of 20 pounds. And it speeds the pump up to give you more water as you call for it. Say, for instance, you're doing dishes, and you're only using a couple of gallons a minute. That pump will actually slow down and pump and maintain that pressure, whatever it has to do to maintain that 2 gallons.
Okay.
Yeah, so
But
it's
if
like
you
a
want
smart-
to
So
do
if you're filling a bathtub,
exactly, you want a lot of water,
okay.
so then it actually speeds up. They're a nice system, and depending on the depth of the well, they can even actually be a little bit cheaper, because we use a smaller wire size because it's a 3-phase motor that we put in there. You know,
So let me ask you this now. All right, now we drill a well.
yeah,
You got a pump. You got it below the frost line and all that. It's
Yeah.
all in place.
yeah.
We don't have a house or a foundation to connect it to. Is that a problem?
No, not really, because you can run it on a generator. So the storage shed, we put the storage shed near the tank, put the tank and the controls in the storage shed along with the generator. Crank it up, you got the water, and
It'll be a pump house.
so it'll be a storage pump house, yeah. And you just leave it there until you're ready to build, or until you can change it from there to the house.
Right.
Put
The
down-
main thing is in the winter to keep it all from freezing up. So we got to make sure we figure out a way to winterize all that.
Very simple. We have what we call an auto drain, and when you turn the power off, the water pressure goes down to 12 pounds. This valve automatically opens up, drains that line back to the well. You can even come up in the winter and get water if you wanted to. You just shut it off and let it drain back again. In your situation, it's perfect for what you want to do. Let me put a stake in there. We'll
Okay.
agree on a spot.
Okay.
And then I assume that you're pretty ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good spot. Because we'll-
We have some decisions to make. They finished drilling. They drilled 680 feet down, which is pretty deep. And we only have a little less than half a gallon per minute yield. Optimally, I guess we're looking for a minimum of 5 gallons per minute. So we have 3 options. We can just cap it and forget about it till next year because we're already pretty deep in over budget. The other option is, because it's a 680 foot well, there's about 900 gallons reserved in the pipe itself coming up. And we can invest in a very expensive high performance pump because it has to be down so deep. Also, it will be more expensive for the piping and a heavier gauge wire. So all those things drive the cost up for a low yield well.
And with all the animals
Right.
and the gardens and things that we plan on having on the homestead,
You definitely run a risk of running the well dry. You know, if you have something like one of these things in your toilet bowl that's leaking, which we happen to have going on right here, I just changed this. You know, those things can drain your well. So the third option would be what they call hydrofracking. We both don't know too much about it yet. We're going to do a little bit more research. Basically what it is they're going to pressurize the well and try and open up some of the cracks that are there. Hopefully get a larger volume of water coming through those cracks. Again, that would cost probably about another $3,000. But then we would only have to put the pump about 300 feet down instead of 680 feet down. So we have some decisions to make.
thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.